All right, guys. This is Elite Skeptic bringing you the skeptical spectacle. Also, our co-host today, unlike always, is Pro Skeptic. Go ahead and say hi, Pro Skeptic.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
All right. So today, I just kind of want to dive into it. Well, I mean, I didn't. We're kind of getting here a little bit late, so we'll keep it short and sweet. But basically, we just wanted to say, welcome to our channel. This is our first. This is our first video on our actual channel. We've had a couple of videos on. Great Debate channel with Steve McRae. We'll try to share some links down in the bottom of the video, but more about that later. Right now, I want to dive right into what we were going to talk about. And today, I want to just talk about flat Earth. We're both skeptics. We both like to get on Twitter. But one thing that kind of even just started this all was flat Earth. And so right now, when I say flat Earth, Pro Skeptic, what does that actually mean to you? Like, what have you noticed in this whole flat Earth? What's something that stands out to you?
Well, I would have to say the thing that stands out most to me is the way the flat Earth community shuns science, but will still pull from science to try to defend
Right.
their claims.
What is I totally agree with what you're saying. Like the one big thing I've always seen, and the one big misconception I've always seen with them is they always throw out that whole word, like it's just a theory, or like they just completely don't understand the idea of a theory. And so basically, what they're doing there is they sit there and they use, I guess, the layman's term of a theory. I guess it's just not backed by much more than just, I don't know, but basically a theory in science, is something that has been backed by, loads of just, oh gosh,
Evidence.
Yeah, just evidence. And it just blows my mind how I'm trying to like think how they even come about this. Like what is their side of the story? And I've never even understood this. Yeah. Because they sit there and they literally just say it's just a theory, and they think that is enough, that like puts the burden of proof back on our side. But it's annoying when we show them evidence. Like I remember I've had a conversation literally on Twitter with this one character where I told him about this experiment where you can literally, hang on a hanging scale. You can hang a weight, right?
Right.
Let's say it's a 10-pound weight, and you can literally take some amount of mass. Let's say just like a bag of sand, slide it right under, not touching, but right under the weight. Look back at the scale. Now all of a sudden that weight weighs more. And it's if it's an accurate enough scale, you'll be able to tell this. And I've seen that somebody shared me a link one time on Twitter with a video, and you can watch this for yourself. And it's like this demonstrates gravity. So we can now say that gravity is demonstratable. So now we can go past being a hypothesis to now a theory, and so now just simply saying it's, prove it is just basically not. I don't understand how that, how that gives them the burden of proof. And I literally sit there and had these arguments with them, and I know you have as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just wild to me that we discovered gravitational waves. Like we have documented proof of something that Einstein had predicted 100 years ago, and they will just reject everything. Right. You'll give them evidence, and then they ask, "Where's the evidence?" It's just they don't.
It's quite mind-numbing, and I guess some of it is they don't understand it, which is fair. And that and I agree that to some of that is we have to blame ourselves. It's like, okay, well, I didn't explain it well enough, but that doesn't mean that they're right. Like they're correct. That doesn't make their argument correct, and it right. Frustrates me. And at times it can frustrate me. I mean, most of the time, yeah, I know at least most people in this community, they just shrug off all these arguments. They just laugh it off because it is funny, and for me, I find it quite humorous at times. And I know there's onlookers on that watch on and listen to these YouTube videos and whatever it is through social media. And people do listen in and are affected. And literally, it's like watching a live debate in front of your eyes. on these certain subjects, especially when you start to follow certain groups. You can really start to kind of get, a huge picture kind of, of all these different personalities talking on certain subjects. And I don't know, I just think it's really interesting when you can follow these conversations. But I don't know, kind of got lost there where I was going with it. But yeah, I don't understand sometimes how these flat earthers can sit there and still believe this stuff. I mean, let's be honest here. Yeah. If we look at just some quick facts, that kind of just knock this out of the park. Let's ask someone from Australia to send us a picture of Polaris, which is our North Star. Let's just see if that, because on a flat Earth scale, that should be 100% possible. And I don't think that's ever been done. And last time I checked, actually, the Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere both have their own set of constellations.
Correct.
How could that happen on a flat Earth model? I challenge any flat earther that sees this to that. And I don't know. I highly doubt any of them ever take us up on that. But that would be one thing that I would love to see. And I know they all have all these little ad hoc little experiments, but that would be the one I would ask for. Just where's the picture of Polaris from everywhere on the map?
So that's the so that's your go-to question.
Yeah, that would be my go-to question.
That you think they can't just throw out.
I think that would be definitely one of my go-to questions.
Okay.
Do you have any like that?
I agree. I mean,
I know gravitational waves for you is strong, but like.
Yeah, but I understand that's not really tangible.
Right.
And so it's hard it'd be hard for them to process. Like I had to think about it a lot. I had to really dive in and do some more research just to understand, how they even tested for the gravitational waves. And
why don't you tell us a little bit about that real quick, actually?
How they tested for the waves?
Yeah, just real quick. How would you describe that real quick?
So basically, they have two very smooth mirrors, right? And they bounce the laser off of one mirror, right? And then so they're reflecting that laser off of that mirror that's angled onto another mirror. And so they have these set up in two different locations across the country, and they also have one set up in India, I think. I'm not sure about that, but I think there's a third one in India. So whenever there's a cataclysmic event, such as two black holes merging or two neutron stars colliding, you get what we call gravitational waves that propagate throughout space. And so once those waves pass through planet Earth, those two stations with those mirrors that have a laser being reflected onto one another, once those gravitational waves pass through the lasers, the laser shifts slightly.
Right.
And it'll sense that.
How slight is that laser shift?
I don't remember exactly. I think it's like
didn't they
probably
give like
down
some
to the order of like 1/1,000,000th. I think it's like it moves like the width of a proton.
Oh, right. So very noticeable.
Right. So very sensitive instruments. But they had these spikes that happened at the same time across the country.
Right. And remember they calibrated, and did they even have like a full wave like even programmed in, like a trick wave to so that you're supposed to catch
they had trick waves that would occur ever so often, that weren't synced up with the other station. right?
Oh, okay, okay, that makes sense.
So that kind of held each station accountable.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. So they both have to verify the blip. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense. And they purposely made random blips on the. Okay, that's pretty cool.
but
No, so
it's
yeah,
amazing.
and see, and that's what blows my mind. See, like, and you've clearly really researched this because you went 100% of depth, and that I remember reading pretty much exactly that. And yeah, so it blows my mind because I remember these testing centers. They're not small either. Like I don't know if you mentioned the length, but they're like these are a kilometer or two long, like measurement stations. They're measuring these beams or whatever, where these mirrors are set up, and that just blows my mind. Like that's the distance and scale we're talking about just to get a proton, measured
Yeah.
difference. So, yeah, no, and that stuff blows my mind. And to sit there and take that accuracy and take that redundancy, and and it's such a astronomically amazing new discovery for mankind. Like, this is a great discovery for mankind. People should really be praising this. Like, this is huge. And
Yeah.
just to sit there and see this community of flat earthers just, it's fake. And it's just like, oh, it's kind of disheartening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally like, we just built these pyramids. The aliens built it. Holy shit, you're just blowing off human discoveries. It's literally the same thing, in my opinion. We could talk about that one day. We could talk about aliens building pyramids and stuff.
That's a whole nother thing.
That would be a whole other thing. I remember at one point I used to believe that slaves built the pyramids, and now apparently that's not true either. They paid them, apparently.
Wait,
that's a whole other story.
They paid them?
Right. Apparently, like, I remember seeing there was archaeological evidence that Egyptians had a large labor force, but it wasn't slave labor. It was, they paid them, is what I remember reading and hearing. And
okay.
And I would have to go 100% double check it to be 100% sure, but that's what I heard. But of course, the Bible tells us that, and that's what I was referring to, was that it was slave labor.
They were slaves. Yeah.
Right. So and it's but then of course you can believe the alien conspiracy theory, which is that they were built. There's no way it was built by man. That's too hard. It was built by aliens or some type of future technology given to them. But
see, people just to discount mankind. For people to not even accept that man could make a structure of that capacity.
Right. And because think about
with the tools at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when we needed something done, mankind progresses through this necessity.
Right.
We've done some pretty amazing things.
And exactly. And just think about it. If you were just to stand back and think about if you were going to just make something big and massive, all you want to do is make something massive. That's all I tell you. I say, go make something massive. What would you make in the easiest way possible? Probably a mound. You would just start mounding mass. And what does a mound look like?
Right.
Basically a pyramid. It's not, rocket science to be like, well, what were they doing? Well, they were trying to build something massive. So they built a fucking pyramid. Excuse me, I just cursed on our first video. Wow. Strike one already. All right. Cursing's on. Screw it. That was easy. So, guess we're doing that now. But yeah, that's kind of how I look at that. It's just they're just trying to make something massive. That's how I look at it. And we see it all around the world. We see literally pyramids or type structures in basically every society. It seems like every ancient society seemed like they had one. You know, there's the South American Egyptians, and I know I'm missing a ton. You know, those are the famous ones, but they're everywhere. So I don't know. I just find that kind of interesting, but yeah, you know, back to flat Earth, circle back around. I feel like this one though is kind of weird because I feel like a lot of conspiracies tie into this one. I feel like a lot of people start diving into conspiracies, they seem to somehow always fall. If they're going to start falling down the rabbit hole, they somehow inevitably find at the deep bottom end of that hole is flat Earth, or at least that's how it looks like to me. You might start out maybe like 9/11, or you're against the government lies, which of course to some extent the government lies, but you know, whatever. You start with government lies, and then you start just going into like spiraling crazy things like lizard people, aliens.
You just go off in tangents, man.
And then somehow you end up with space is not real, and it was all religion was right at the beginning, and the world's flat because the Bible said. And I know that's not everyone, and I know that's not all of them, but I feel like that's definitely some of them.
Like that.
I feel like some of them.
Yeah, I mean, the process varies.
Yeah. Oh, another thing on flat Earth the other day. I know it's going to sound weird, but my favorite flurf or flat earther blocked me the other day, and I was pretty.
Oh wait,
taken aback.
Who?
His name is at Lee Wilshevik or something like that, but Robin or something like that. But yeah, I just always liked him because I remember early on when I first got on, I always used to kind of butt heads with him, and then he said he designed buildings. And I don't know if you remember this, but I like started tagging like ASCE and ABET and a bunch of.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
And I was like saying, this building, what building
days.
is this? Oh man, yeah. He's like, I designed buildings, and we never use gravity. That was his whole argument. And then he kept bringing up mu, the Greek letter for that little U or whatever. Yeah, he kept bringing up mu, and I was like,
I think I've gotten in on this conversation too.
Yeah, and I remember I kept trying to type in my phone. I have an Android, and I couldn't figure out how to type mu, So I was just like, so I just kept spelling it out, and he just totally had no idea. And when I finally described to him what mu was and said it's a variable, I then had to describe what a variable was so that he would understand that whatever the heck he thought mu was for him doesn't really matter what he thinks it is, because I might be using it totally differently. I've used mu throughout college into the number million different ways for so many different things. Mu means nothing to me. You say mu, what is your mu, which is what he was doing. What does that mean to me? It means nothing. And I don't know, it was just really funny. And I just had this whole
to not even know one of the basic terms, the most basic terms, like.
Yeah, he didn't understand how or what a variable is.
And see, that's another thing that they do is, I mean, not to harp on anyone's job, but it does take a certain level of skill to be an engineer and beyond that. And it does take a certain level of skill to be an electrician, a carpenter.
Oh, right.
Or masonry. But you have to understand that we as civil engineers, me and you, we have to design buildings, just structures in general, to where they're safe for the public.
Right.
And then if something happens, it's our fault. So we have accountability. And being an electrician does not give you, I'm an electrician, I'm a carpenter, I built houses, I know how everything works.
You might know how to wire up a couple of outlets and stuff. And I understand that you know, if I have an electrical problem, I should come talk to you. But don't tell me you know how to put a house together, and you might understand. And then I turn around and say, okay, well then,
what's the load bearing beams and which ones are actually important for your load. And you might know those things, and you may even know why a certain beam has to be the size it is or the thickness of wood it is. Maybe you know, but I'm just saying the questions start adding up real quick. And when I start saying I design a structure, that is not the same as you did some drywall in the building. That is not what we're saying. And
yeah.
And I know some people are going to hear that and think that we're completely separated from reality. And it's like, no, that's not. We're not. But we've had these conversations. Like, it is this ridiculous. And
yeah, we it really is.
Yeah,
it is. I just see a trend. Like I go to their accounts and I just see a trend. And
oh yeah, there's one that brags about being a technician, and and he's like, I'm a certified technician of what? Of what? And I'm like, what? Just what's technician to what? I'm just laughing. And if you watch his videos, it's like of a what are those like floor buffers? Those like industrial size like floor buffers or like mopping thing. What are those things?
Oh wow.
Yeah, at least that's what he's always working on. So I guess he's a technician of industrial cleaning things. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. He's always bragging about being. I'll show it to you. I don't know if heck, we'll just throw him under the bus. It's that Josh.com dude. He's on Twitter, but he cracks me up. He's got quite a big following, actually. See, that's the thing. He's got a huge following. He brags about being a vegan, a flat earther, and a technician. And yeah, and and he just spreads pseudoscience and bunk science. And he thinks because he is a handyman, and I'm sure he is very handy with his hands or whatever. I'm sure he knows how to be a craftsman or whatever. Gosh, that's a weird term to use, but whatever. He's I'm sure he is good at that. But the point is that doesn't mean you know anything about physics or the shape of the world, I guess. Like that doesn't mean anything. It just means you're good at that one thing you're good at, which is being a technician of an industrial whatever those things are, cleaning supplies. It's just
right.
It doesn't make you certified, and it's an argument from authority. And of course, we're probably doing all the time saying we're engineers, so we're guilty of it. But hopefully, we back it up with something else besides that. Hopefully, we say, but look at this. And that's our job. That's on us. And I'm sure people will throw in the comments when we mess up. But that's the fun part about this show. Please.
Yeah, tell us when we mess up, please.
Please, because we will. It's like we're new at
We're not perfect.
And
we're willing to admit that.
Of course. Because actually, do you remember? I'm not going to say his name, but do you remember the professor that always looked like he was on cocaine?
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, heck,
I remember.
It was he said a phrase one time, and he goes, and I remember this phrase because it stuck with me because and it's 100% right in the class we were teaching. It was I think it was mechanics materials or whatever, but whatever. He said strength is the measurement, the strength is the measurement of failure. Yeah, because strength you measure strength where it fails. If you're on a stress strain curve, where is your ultimate strength? Well, where it broke. So strength is a measurement of failure. And what I mean by that is we're only as good until we basically are wrong or fail or mess up, and then we fix it, learn, and move on. And now we're better. And that's how everyone operates. And I really do think that.
Yeah.
Now I know that some people could say, "Oh, well, you can extrapolate that to some extreme and be ridiculous." Yeah, but within reason, that's how people learn. And I don't know. I just really like that saying from him, and I just found it really interesting that it matched, stress strain curves. I just thought that was cool. But yeah. And besides that, though, that professor was nothing more than just a wealth of energy. I don't understand.
He was always going, man. And that class was so early.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember it was at like 8
It was
a.m.
like
right?
8:30 or 9. Yeah. It's probably 8:30. Because remember they used to always like to have like an 8:30 class. I remember that in that petroleum engineering. Man. Oh, remember we brought one of our other friends from a different major. We said you just got to sit in this class. And remember, he was just like his mouth was
Yeah.
to the floor. He was just, what is wrong with this guy? And what is he talking about? It's like, don't worry, nobody knows.
Yeah, man, that was great.
Oh man, that class was crazy. Oh man. But enough about that. Yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah. Yeah, too bad we can't get him on the show. That'd be hilarious. We wouldn't get him to sit still. Anyways. Man. But anyways, but getting back on topic a little bit, we'll probably get out of here in a little bit because I got to get off here, get ready for work tomorrow. The one big thing I would love to see is I would love to actually one of these days get a flat earther on the show, and I would promise him that I would try to talk with him. I think that would be fair, and I would try to not I'd try to hear his side, and I think that would be, I don't know, would you think that would be productive?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'd be down. Honestly, man, I think if we could find somebody that would be calm, collective, and just wanted to talk and see if they can maybe, I wouldn't even want to call it a debate. I would just kind of want to say a discussion. I know one YouTuber, I guess she's a YouTuber now, but I've been noticing she's been making some videos on also the Great Debate channel that we've been on. Her name's Shannon Q. She's been doing some stuff with people, but she's basically, she comes and just sits down and talks with them, and she just tries to get to know their side. And I think that would be interesting because we could hear their point and maybe even try to have a constructive conversation. Maybe, I mean, dare I say, with a flat earther. I think that would be really interesting. But I don't know if that's possible. But I know if I can get this out there, and I would love to hear somebody and talk to them about it. Because honestly, I mean, I've heard so many of their arguments, but at the same time, I haven't heard any of their arguments from somebody just like live lately. It's just been through like Twitter and just been parroting. And I wonder if there's somebody that actually thinks I'm missing something. I don't know. It'd be interesting. But anyways, I'm thinking we're gonna actually probably have to get out of here in a little bit. Sorry about that, guys, but I know Pro here and I as well. We've got to go to work tomorrow. We've got to go be those engineers.
That is correct.
But I do know that we have something exciting going on tomorrow, and that was actually the big reason we wanted to do this today. Was we wanted to make sure we got everything ready and set up for tomorrow, because tomorrow we have an author coming on the show to talk to us about some of his upcoming books and maybe some of his other books, and also maybe hopefully some conspiracy theories and different weird ideas that kind of go with what we like talking about. But his name's James Egan, and I hope I'm saying that right. But he's an author, and one big book that he's been known about was the Misconceptions in Religion, and I'm really excited to talk to him about this stuff tomorrow. And I'm hoping we can actually sit there and get a good conversation. I know we will. I've been talking to him a little bit last few weeks. He showed me his YouTube channel. We'll have to make sure we send some links down there from below. But if you made it this far, definitely, let us know what you guys think. Please come see us tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a good show. We're going to try to get it going a little bit earlier, and it'll be fun. But all right, but I'm going to get out of here. Pro, you got anything else to say?
We appreciate y'all for listening. If you guys could support us by just smashing that like button, that'd be great. This is the Skeptical Spectacle signing off.
All right, guys, signing off. Don't forget to follow us at our Twitters, and that's at Elite Skeptic and at GR Believer. Thanks again, guys.